Okay, I'm just setting up the live stream. I won't be long. I think we're good. So today we're going to do the next leg in my round the world escapade in Microsoft Flight Simulator. We are on the ground in Hatay in Turkey with the Cessna 406 from Inibuilds. And we're going to fly across to Batumi in Georgia. So we're going to leave Turkish airspace today, but we're going to have to travel a very long way to do so. It's about 400 miles across the width of Turkey, from south to north. And then we'll end up just on the coast of Georgia, Batumi. So anybody that knows DCS will be familiar with Batumi because it's one of the airfields that's built into the simulator. Okay, so we need to go and get the airplane ready for flight, don't we? So we're going to go and wander around and remove all of the covers and the chocks. Remove the pitot covers. I've already filled the fuel tanks all the way up, so we'll have plenty of fuel for the journey. Way more than we'll need. Just doing a walk around. Hopefully I won't miss anything on the way around. I'm not sure if you can waggle the control surfaces on this one. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so Shift and C will sit us inside the airplane. It's a bit quieter in here, isn't it? So let's go, and I'm just pulling up on the second screen the startup procedure. So I've linked it in the notes of the video. So if you weren't aware that I make these things, and I don't think many people are not aware anymore, if I go to drive.google.com and type in, I can show you the original version of it, F406. So this is a document that goes through every step of getting the airplane ready for flight. So setting custom views up, suggesting some views, doing the walk around, the pre-flight. So it's where to look, what to click, and what to do in what order to functionally get the airplane ready for flight in an appropriate manner, or somewhat appropriate manner. It doesn't cover everything, it just covers the basics, so you can obviously expand on it enormously if you want to go and do real world checks, but it's useful. So we are running SayIntentions in the background. We'll come back to that a bit later once we've got the airplane up and running. Let's go and have a look at our route today then. So if we go to Little Nav Maps, probably the easiest way to see it. And we can see we're at Hatay. I've switched actually. We landed last time at Iskenderun on the coast of Turkey, but just across the mountains there, about 10 miles away, is the international airport, which is a bit bigger. So we're taking off from Hatay International Airport, and we're going to go VOR hopping basically across Turkey to get all the way to Batumi on the coast of Georgia. Okay, so it should be good fun. It's quite a long trip, so I won't be present in the cockpit for all of it. I'll set the views up so we get a nice view of the scenery whizzing past, and I'll leave messages on YouTube highlighting what we're doing at any particular point in the flight. So I'm just going to check the views. So this Alton 1 should give me the instrument panel, Alton 2 the central panel with the radios, Alton 3 the left switch panels on the door, Alton 4 gives me the back of the throttle quadrant, Alton 5 shows me the throttle quadrant and the engine instruments together. Alt 6 shows me just the GPS. The reason for doing this is because the default views are Shift and 1, 2, 3, 4. They're a bit bizarre. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, look at that. Why did they do that? Anyway. So we've done the walk around, we've removed all the covers, so pre-flight Alt and 4 takes us down to the fuel cocks. and we pull them both out. So Alt and 3. Battery goes to on. That's here. And then anti-collision lights go to on. So I'm going to have to try and remember where everything is. So here's the lights are on the wall, aren't they? So anti-collision. And the nav lights can go on as well. So throttle quadrant, Alt and 5. So throttle levers set to ground idle. So I don't think I've got them going to reverse. Yeah, I've got that working. That's good. I've got propellers on this one then. Okay, that makes sense. So they're on ground idle. Propeller set to feather, which it is. Fuel levers are set to off or back, which they are. So we're going to go through starting the engine. Fuel boost for the right engine goes to normal. Ignition and start, which is, I'm just looking around to just to get my bearings. So ignition starts up this end. So an Alt and 1 will show us the instruments, and we can see the RPM coming up. And obviously I'm going a bit slowly at this, so we can then bring the fuel in. I'm just reading my instructions here. Okay, it has to go all the way forwards to run. And then when the RPM comes through 50%, we can go and turn the starter off. You can see it's already kicked off, but it's not ticking anymore anyway. So the starter was over here, wasn't it? So come off. And then we can turn on the generator. So then we repeat basically the same thing for the left engine. So we can do fuel boost to normal for the left engine. Start the left engine, and you can hear it ticking over. RPM is coming up as soon as it goes through about 10%. Bring the fuel in. When it gets to 50%, we turn off the starter. As you can see, it's spinning up over here. Starter's done its job. And then generator on for the left engine. Okay. Throttle quadrant. Advance the fuel lever to run forward. Yeah, we've done that. Post engine start. Here we go. Losing my place in my own instructions. So auto feather goes to armed, or in the middle, which is, I'm just looking for it, is here. On the avionics bus, left and right goes to on. And the avionics AC section go to system number 1. Radio stack Alt and 2. So jump over here now. It should be waking up in front of us. So the GPS is coming up. We'll go and also turn. Is this going to turn on? Do we have to turn the brightness up to see it? Let's put on standby. Yep, it's working. Okay, we're just waiting for the GPS. Here we go. Enter, enter. We'll go and cheat slightly to get the flight plan in. We'll go to planner.flightsimulator.com. We'll go to a little nav map and copy the route. Then we have to wait for this to load first because it remembers the last route. Save that. So this will re-render in a moment, showing us our route today. There it is, from Hatay over to Batumi, and we'll save that. So save new plan. And then hopefully in the aeroplane we should be able to go into the flight planner and load it from the internet, load from web. LTDA, that's the one, download. And then send it to, we'll wait until this is booted up. It's just capturing satellites at the moment. Give it a few seconds. Transponder's on standby. We're going to be VFR today, so it's not going to make much difference. Although saying that, we're going to go to 11,000 feet. I wonder whether I should go IFR. Maybe we do. Might make sense, actually. I have filed it with SimBrief, so we could go IFR if we would like to. I need to make sure that the radios are working though, to talk to the controllers. So this is working. So if we send this to the avionics, yes, we've got a magenta line. Excellent. So that's loaded the route in. So if we increase the range on this, we can see that on our display, which is great. Which means we can use autopilot along the way if we want to, instead of VOR hopping. But VOR hopping is more fun, isn't it? So we've got the nav radios down here, and we've got the comm radios up and running now. So let's see if this is working. I wasn't sure earlier if it was going to work properly. So if I go to ground, yes, it's working, 121.7. Because I tried it and it wasn't changing frequencies, but it may be just because it's tied now that the radio has to be on in the aircraft before this will work. Hatay ground, Cessna, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, radio check please.
Cessna, Foxtrot, Oscar, Sierra, Papa Juliet, Hatay ground. You're coming in loud and clear.
Very good. I'm just writing down my call sign so I don't have to think about it. Of course, I've picked a pen up that doesn't work, which is always the way. Okay. So we've already got engine running. What else do we need to do? We've set the transponder to standby. We've programmed the flight plan. We've set the... We haven't set nav radio actually. Let's go and do that. So the first beacon on our route today is going to be... Well, it's actually a long way though, but if we go and show information for the... What's it called? The Karamamaras VOR. And it has a range of 75 miles. We're 77 from it. So let's go and fly from the Hatay VOR. So we've got a range of 130 miles on this one, and it's 11205. Okay. So we're going to go and switch over to the nav radios 11205. Switch that to active. This is already on VLOC mode. I don't know if you noticed that the CDI already came alive. Magic. The runway, we're going to be taking off southwest actually because of the wind. So actual runway direction is 217 degrees, so let's go and set that up on our heading bug. Can we just drag this? No. Just have to be very patient with it. Some aeroplanes have implemented dragging, so you can set needles very, very quickly.
I am working on that clearance. Stand by.
Okay, so primary instrument panel, calibrate the altimeters, so press comma. We've done the heading bug and the course. Let me just go and check the volume levels. Yeah, we're really loud, aren't we, in the aeroplane, so I'm going to turn that down for you. Okay, so Alt and 3 brings us over. We're going to go and put the taxi light 2 on, which if I can remember where it is. There's the pitot static heat. So here we go, taxi lights. The lights are on the wall. The trouble is I fly so many different aeroplanes, I forget unless I've got everything written down. So we can taxi to the runway. So we're going to advance the propeller. And we'll request taxi from ground, I suppose. But we could get clearance as well. So if we're going to do this with IFR, should we go do that now? Okay, why is this not allowing me to drag it? No, it is. Have we got clearance? Centre, ground, radio check ramp, SkyOps, tower. We're going to have to get clearance from tower. Hatay tower, Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet requesting clearance as filed to Batumi. Let's throw this pen away. So let's see what they come back with. I'll turn the propeller back down while we're doing that.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet cleared to Batumi. Radar vectors Geshem Island. Then, as filed, climb 4000. Expect flight level 11010 minutes after departure. Departure on 118. Decimal 725 squawk 2442. Expect runway 22.
Cleared to Batumi, radar vectors to Kilo Hotel Mike, then as filed, climb 4,000 feet, expect flight level 110, 10 minutes after departure, departure 118.725, squawk 2442, expect runway 22, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, read back correct. Ground is on 121.7 safe flight, sir.
Good day. Okay, so let's go and put the squawk in 2442. And then we'll go and put this off of standby mode. Now the mode is over here, isn't it? Yeah. So we're going to go and turn the transponder on and go to alt mode. And then we are going to put our initial climb altitude 4,000 feet. We want to go to 11,000 eventually. What did I have on my flight plan? Yeah, 11,000. So, this doesn't have a pre-selector, does it? So we'll just be managing that ourselves unless we use the autopilot to do it, and it hasn't got that sort of autopilot. So we're just going to be doing our best. So we'll just climb until we get to 11,000. What other instructions did we get then? Climb 4,000 feet, expect flight level 110, yeah. 10 minutes after departure, departure 118. So, squawk 2442, runway 22. So we're going to go back to ground now and request taxi to runway 22. So let's go and do that. Let's go and get our bearings as well of where we are on the airfield. So we are parked here and it's going to be a backtrack. So we'll be on to Bravo and then, and then turn left for runway 22. Hatay ground, Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet requesting taxi to runway 22.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, runway 22 taxi at your discretion.
I'm going to go and turn the sound up. Taxi to our discretion to runway 22 Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. So we want to go to headset and turn that up because you can't hear it over the engines very well, can you? Let me just check the volume levels once more before we get going. Yeah, that's looking okay. So we got our taxi as we wish, which is nice and easy for a change. So there's the taxiway. Park and brake off. We're going to have to mow down the baggage truck, I think. They don't have park in some awkward places, don't they? Now he's going to walk right into me. Remove the mouse so it doesn't make the menu appear. It's an MD-90. It's a bit of a rare spot in the simulator. So it's going to backtrack along the runway. It's complaining that we haven't got the inertial separators on. Just going to have a look for them. And the lights have gone out now. To be honest, we're operating on concrete there, we're not on rough ground, so there's no real reason to have them switched on. Just taxiing down to the end of the runway. We can taxi fast on the runway, by the way, if anybody's thinking, oh, he's taxiing a bit quickly. It's allowed on runways. We're going to, where did I say? Batumi in Georgia. It's going to be a fairly lengthy flight. So I won't be here for all of it. I'll obviously be handing over along the way. And I've got my co-pilot in the cockpit with me to help out, which will be handy. Okay, we probably don't need any more runway than this, so let's go and turn ourselves around. It's pretty windy. Okay, so we want to go to tower now. Have we got a tower? Yes, we have. Hatay Tower, Cessna, Foxtrot, Oscar, Sierra, Papa Juliet, requesting a takeoff runway 22.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, runway 22, winds 210 at 23, cleared for takeoff. After.
Sorry, cleared for takeoff runway 22. Apologies for stepping on you. speed come up on this thing. We're heavy, of course, because we are full of fuel. And we're up. So we want to do a left turn. So what did he tell us that we didn't actually hear? Oh, we have to stay runway heading until 5,500.
Papa Juliet, contact departure.
Contacting departure, Papa Juliet. Departure Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, departing runway 22 and then proceeding as filed to Batumi, coming up through 2,000 feet.
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, Hatay departure, radar contact, climb flight level 110, turn right heading 020, vectors to Gesham Island, then as filed.
Turn right heading 020, climbing flight level 110, vectors to Kilo Hotel Mike, then as filed, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. So where do they want us to turn? 020. So let's go and move our heading book while we're at it. That's the direction to the beacon at the moment. Why are they making us climb straight towards the hills?
Hatay departure, Turkish 9042, request IFR clearance to Istanbul Airport. Hatay departure, Turkish 9042, request IFR clearance to Ankara Istanbul Airport.
So we can no longer need to have the feathering armed.
Request frequency change to Hatay Tower. 128 decimal.
And we no longer need the inertial separators either.
Golf India X-ray.
Although it's going to complain about them bizarrely, even though we're not on the ground anymore. Maybe this is a bit simple in this aeroplane. It doesn't actually understand. There's no weight on wheels connected to it, maybe. Coming up through 4,500. Of course, we tuned this to the VOR behind us, didn't we? I forgot that. So it isn't going to show at the moment a correct course. Obviously the GPS is showing what's actually happening. Okay, coming up to 5,000 feet. Should we get the autopilot on and then we can manage this? So we want heading mode for the moment. And we don't want a pitch mode, we're just going to use the pitch roller here. So let's get it to go a bit, climb a bit faster because we can. Keep an eye on the torque and the RPM. The RPM can come down a bit now actually. That will up the torque though. Okay, 1,000 feet a minute is fine. We're on our way. Travel look from outside. Oh, landing lights can come off now, can't they? We're not commercial traffic, so we don't have to obey the 10,000 feet rule. Landing lights off. Taxi light off. Nav anti-collision on. That's good. There's our lovely little aeroplane, the F406 Caravan 2 from Inibuilds. And this is Turkey, which is a gorgeous country. That was interesting. The screens were dark then for a moment. Should we go and put the weather radar on? There's no weather to see, but we'll turn it on at least. I think the 430 has traffic mode as well, doesn't it? So if we go forwards, no, on the smaller track, you'd think I'd know this by now, wouldn't you? I kind of wrote the book on it. We put the focus in here, we can then turn that on and press enter, and then take the focus back out. So we've got ADS-B on now, and then we can increase the range on it. In fact, if we've got ADS-B on, if we go back to the navigation screen, this will show traffic on it now if there is anybody nearby. Okay, so we're on our way to the VOR out there. We should be making good progress on the climb as well, so coming up to 8,000 feet, speed is still good.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, contact Ankara Control on 131.35.
Contacting Ankara Control 131.35, Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Good day. 131.350. Ankara Control, Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet with you, climbing to flight level 110.
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, Ankara Control identified. Selam, Antakya, QNH 1003.
So we've got the distance measuring equipment is showing, so let's go and switch frequencies over to the next VOR station. So you can see there's our route, so we're coming in on it. So we had our original route was 18 degrees to 11390. So let's go do that. 11390. Switch that to active. And there we go. So then distance measuring is now showing 60 miles and decreasing. So we'll go and line this up. And then we go nav mode. So the airplane will track the course that we have chosen. So we've actually got not quite 18, is it? That's probably about 18. So we'll let the aeroplane track sideways onto it. I'm guessing the other radio over here is nav 2. Should we try it? 11390 is that's nav 1. No, this must be nav 2. Does this come alive? Yeah, there we go. It's just the omni bearing selector's wrong. So if we change the omni bearing selector around to 20 degrees-ish, it should bring the needle in, and there it goes, look. 18 degrees, isn't it, is what we're after. There we go, look. Because the aeroplane's just brought us over to the 18 degree track. So we're coming up through 10,500 feet. We will be stopping our climb soon, and then we'll set the engines for cruise and be on our way. So I'm being asked, how big is my monitor? It's a 32-inch, I think, LG. It's not a very clever monitor. It's 1080p. I only bother with a 1080p because that's what I broadcast to YouTube. At some point I may get a 4K monitor, and I may start broadcasting at 4K. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many people actually watch YouTube at 4K. Obviously things do progress, so at some point I will. It does exponentially increase the size of video files though. We've just gone through 10,000 feet. Oh, that was 11,000. We've just gone through it, haven't we? Let's go and stop the climb. Go back down a little bit. Just bring ourselves back down to 11,000 feet, otherwise we'll bust our altitude that we've been instructed. What was the transition altitude around here, by the way? Let's go and have a look. Will it tell us on here? Airport. Transition altitude, 18,000. Okay, we're below it, so we're still good. And now we've gone too low, because I'm not keeping an eye on things. So let's just gently climb back up, and then we'll go to altitude hold. So this aircraft doesn't have a pre-selector, so it's up to us. We ought to really be paying attention, and we're getting quite fast, look. Oh my word. It's a pretty rapid aeroplane. I'll calm it down with the engine in a moment. So we're going to press altitude hold now. And then pull the power back. Pull the RPM back. Or the volume control, as turboprop pilots seem to call it. And we're good to go. So we're counting down 46 miles until we get to the next VOR en route. So I think we've got the wind behind us as well. Oh no, we've got a crosswind. I do apologise. So we're on our way to, I'm going to get the name of this place wrong, Kahramanmaras. I had to really think about that. Yeah, there you go, look, Kahramanmaras. We have got the tour guide in the cockpit with us. Hi, what can you tell us about Kahramanmaras in Turkey? Oh, I thought I had the tour guide.
Kahramanmaras, also known as Kahramanmaras, is a city in Turkey renowned for its delicious ice cream, known as Maras Dondurmasi. This ice cream is famous for its unique texture and resistance to melting, thanks to the use of salep, a flower made from the tubers of wild orchids. The city itself has a rich history, dating back to ancient times, and has been influenced by various civilizations, including the Hittites, Romans, and Ottomans. Kahramanmaras is also known for its beautiful handicrafts, particularly its traditional copper and silver works. Visitors often enjoy exploring the city's historical sites, such as the Kahramanmaras Castle and various ancient mosques. It's a place where history and culture blend beautifully, offering a unique experience to its visitors.
you know? Got a beautiful day for it, haven't we? There's hardly a cloud in the sky. Okay, so we got 39 miles to run until we get to the VOR, and then we exit on a slightly different bearing. I'm not sure if we got a... There's no tablet in this aeroplane, is there? There's this thing though. Does this give us a chart en route or a map? Can we have a Navigraph map? Yes, we can. And what can we control in this? I'm just wondering if this will give us sectors. If we zoom out far enough. It should do, shouldn't it? Because it's the Navigraph map. But it's not going to, unless it's over here. Ah, here we go. So we want the IFR Hello, world. I think these are the sector lines. Yeah, they are. Excellent. That's perfect. Unfortunately, it doesn't show us the route on it, but you can't have everything. The route appears on the GPS. Very good. So we can do, what we can do is pull this up alongside it. So this is our EFB built into the simulator versus the one that's built into the aircraft. So we go and get rid of that out of the way. So we shouldn't get a handoff to a different controller at all for quite some time. Should we have a look at the sectors on Little Nav Map, see if that's true. So if we go and open up sectors, there are some areas that are slightly different. So we've got Ankara airspace here. So Ankara. Yeah, so there's airspace for between 3,000 and 20,000. So we may get handed over to Kahramanmaraş when we're overhead, and then onto Malatya. It depends, doesn't it? So that's between 4,000 and 28. So we may get handed over, because there's a pyramid obviously, and you're handed over to the closest controller usually. The centre is the backup. Anyway. Do we have much in the way of traffic? I can't see any traffic around us actually. It's quite unusual. I don't know if there's something going on there or not. Oh, you know why? Let me just go into the sim a second. If I go settings and online, I've turned off the traffic. That'll be why. Save and back. You might see some aeroplanes around us now. Look for orange. Here we come. Look, orange aeroplanes appearing. So I have got SayIntentions running in the background as well, but I don't think they're doing traffic for this area of the world yet. So we're not expecting to see anything. Either that or they've got an issue going on, I'm not entirely sure. So if we turn around and press Ctrl Alt N, yeah, too far away for us to see them. I was wondering if we were going to see... Oh, that aeroplane's disappeared now, that'd be why. 21 miles to run to the VOR. So you have to look quite closely at this to see which buttons. This says ENG lit up on the nav button. In bright sunlight it's difficult, and altitude says ENG, but they're also depressed. And you can see it's using VOR lock at the moment. Very good. So what I might do is go and grab myself a coffee in a minute. So I'm being asked in the live stream comments, how is Sim Update 3 treating me? It's been perfect so far. It's been very, very good. But then I thought Sim Update 2 was very, very good. The major thing it's fixed is the control configuration. It doesn't have a pause in it anymore, so you can configure aeroplanes remarkably quickly once again, which is a huge deal for me. But there are pages and pages and pages of things that have been fixed in the various different aeroplanes and in the base of the simulator itself. So it really is moving on quite enormously. I've been quite shocked actually at the amount of negative feedback 2024 has received from some very prominent content creators. And it got to the point at one point, I don't know, a couple of months back, when I just found myself watching a couple of their channels thinking, if you don't like it, you don't have to be doing this. You know, I don't understand why so many people have such a negative view of so many things. There's nobody forcing them to do any of this. It's almost like some people are never happier than when they're complaining, and I don't like that. It's just, you know, as part of my personality, I don't like negativity like that. Fine, be annoyed, but don't share it with as many people as you possibly can. Anyway. But yeah, Sim Update 3 looks very, very good so far, and this aeroplane's very, very good. And this part of the world is very, very good. Yeah, I don't quite understand that whole social media thing of just sharing spite and anger. Okay, 10 miles to run. So let's start thinking about the next VOR. So what's the range on this one? The Malatya VOR. So 100 miles, so we could go straight to it, 11200. So what we'll do is we'll line the heading bug up, not the course, the heading bug, with the direction we're going. We'll go to heading mode, so we won't influence the navigation, and we're going to switch over to 11200. So switch that to active, so then we know we want to change our course then.
Sierra Papa Juliet, contact Caravan Maras. Approach on 125.39er.
We want 38 degrees, which is about there, which is perfect. So if we just press nav again now, the aeroplane will start to make that turn. Contacting Caravan Maras approach on 125.39. Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Well, I nearly got it right that time. Caravan Maras. Caravan Maras approach. Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet with you at flight level 110.
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, Caravan Maras, departure identified. Good afternoon, Caravan Maras, QNH 1005.
There we go. So we're now counting down to 80 miles to the next VOR station. I prefer radio navigation than GPS because there's something to do. Otherwise you get quite bored. So I thought I lost the essential and assigned button in the controls, but they moved it up to the top of the screen. I don't know what you're talking about there. Oh, in the control screen. Yeah, I haven't actually fiddled with it yet. So for a couple of days after Sim Update 3 came out, I was too busy doing other things, so I didn't even touch the simulator. And then got to it yesterday and had a quick look and did a flight with a helicopter. And then obviously today, so here we go, look, the turning point has just shown up. Obviously we've already passed through it and it's flicked over to the next leg on the GPS automatically. Oh, I see what you mean, sorry. So you're talking about essential and assigned, the filters on the controls that are shown in the control screen, yes. Makes sense. Yeah, there's been all sorts of tweaks and polishes to the user interface within the menu screens. I've read about them, I've not actually gone and looked myself yet. So we've got 75 miles to run, and you can see there's some hills out ahead. I'm going to go make a coffee before we get too near the hills. We should be good for altitude, to be honest. So I've already plotted it, look, on the elevation plot on Little Nav Map. So you can see here, we're going to be good all the way at this altitude, which is why we are flying at this altitude. So we did change look, as we said, to Caravan Maras control. We'll exit their control and go back to Ankara for a while, and then I guess we'll get handed off to Malatya control, which would be interesting. And then back to Ankara, possibly over to Arput. What's the actual... oh, sorry, Alazig for the airport, yeah. So while we're in their airspace, depends what altitude that is. What does it say? Yeah, we're within their limits, so yes. It's going to be interesting.
Qatari 8170 contacts Ankara control on 120.275.
I'm going to leave this chugging away for a while.
Control on 120.275. Qatari 8170.
And I'm going to go make a quick coffee. Okay, I'm back and I have coffee. Let's see how we're doing in the aeroplane. Airspeed is good, altitude is good. Have we got any radio comms that I've missed? Identified? No, we are still good on comms. 56 miles to the next VOR, and we can see that on the GPS. It's all looking good. So where are we in the world? Let's go and have a look. There's a couple of aeroplanes way above us. Look, we're at 11,000 feet. This 777's at 40,000 feet nearly. There's an A320 at nearly 30,000 feet, just passing in the opposite direction, about 25 miles to our east. There's no other smaller traffic out here today. We are pretty much on our lonesome. Heading off around the world. How are we doing for fuel burn? Let's go and have a look. So we can pretty much figure out pounds per hour times 100. So we're running about 275 pounds per hour on each engine. And we have
Oscar Sierra, Papa Juliet, Kahraman Maras, departure, contact, airhack approach on 118.775.
contacting Iraq approach 118.775. Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Good day. Iraq approach Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet with you, flight level 110.
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, airhack departure identified. Postgelding Kahraman Mara, QNH 1006.
Let's go and check our altimeter. They said 1003. Yeah, that's still correct. Look. So I'm just working this out. So we are down to 140. No, so 1,400 pounds per hour. Sorry, 1,400 pounds. We're using 275 an hour. And we can work out on here, if we go and look at the... Oh, this won't give us on this view, will it? Will it do it on the next one? That's only to the next waypoint. That's not the ETA, is it? Which is not what we want. Can we do it here? No. We can do it on a piece of paper. We can work it out. So we're doing 180 knots. So we've got how far to go? Let's have a look. If we were to straight line it, measure distance. Obviously we're going to wiggle around a little bit, so we'll call it 300. We'll round it up to 300 miles. So if we pull up a calculator, 300 miles over 180 knots is 1.6 hours. And we are running at 275 pounds. 275 pounds per hour. So we're only going to use about 300. So we'll still have a lot of fuel left when we get there. We'll be fine. We'll have more than half a tank left. Pays to have a calculator in your pocket, doesn't it? Can Sarah bring some alcohol to the cockpit? I've only got a co-pilot today. Should we ask the co-pilot to take over comms? It's Sarah... I've forgotten her surname, isn't that awful? Sarah is the co-pilot. So, hi Sarah, how is the flight going so far?
Flight smooth, Jonathan. On course and maintaining altitude.
Can you take over radio comms for a while, please, Sarah? did you hear me? Hi Sarah, can you take over radio communications?
Sure, Jonathan. I'll handle the comms from here.
There we go. I just have to remember I've told it now, so if I react, we'll both be talking to air traffic services at the same time. I've done that before. It's quite amusing actually. They've filtered the communication with the co-pilot quite severely. They only talk about professional subjects. You can't chat with them. Whereas the tour guide you can. So we have got the tour guide in the cockpit with us. So let's go and ask her. Hi Amanda, where are we at the moment? Oh, it's Sarah, isn't it?
We are currently flying over the vicinity
I've got their names wrong.
Yildirim Parki in Dogan Sahir, Malatya, Turkey, at an altitude of 11,010 feet.
Let's ask her what her name is to confirm this before we go and call her the wrong name for the next 10 minutes. What was your name again?
My name is Sarah, and I'm your tour guide for this flight.
So it's Amanda is the co-pilot. Get it run the right way. Do I have any other legs in my playlist? So yes, I do. If we go and have a look. So I'll just save this one for the moment. Save flight plan, save. And if we go file, open. And we go and load the round the world. This is where it's been sketched in. So we are doing, I've removed this one out of the plan. So let's go and delete that one. So this is what we're doing today. Obviously I've filled in the VORs, but this is the rest of the plan. So that one might turn into one leg as well. But yeah, we're going to go all the way along the mountain range, look along the Himalayas, and then drop down through Eastern Asia, through Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Singapore. It's going to be good. Out across the islands, down the coast of Australia before shooting out. There's going to be a lot of ocean legs, unfortunately, but there's no way to avoid that. And then an enormous leg there, and another enormous leg, a 2,000 miler look, to get from Mataveri over to Ecuador, I think it is. Oh no, Peru, sorry. And then up the coast, and then South America, across the United States, out across Canada, jump across to Greenland, over to Iceland, and then back down to the UK. So we've only done a little bit of the route so far. It's going to take months, because obviously I'm just doing these flights in between other things. But it gives us an opportunity to see the rest of the world. So let's go and reload our flight plan that we had. So it's just this one little bit of the flight that we're doing today. But yeah, so I penciled it in one flight plan, and then I go back into more detail for each flight. So picking out VORs and so on and so forth. So what we could do, I've already filed this with Simbrief actually, so I don't need to program it into Navigraph. But yeah, there you can see, look, if we go and show this as the VFR map, then you get to see the mountain ranges. We can also pull up the weather live in an overlay for 11,000 feet. So there's nothing to see, is there? It's just showing what the shaded box means, I don't know. Areas that aren't covered at the moment, maybe. Turn the weather off. Okay. So yeah, we're within this sector here at the moment, look, which is the ATC for Matalia. Sorry, Malatia, not Matalia. If we go and put this on IFR low, you'll see it much more clearly. So I don't think a lot of people realise the charts you can get within here. So the simulator has got the Lufthansa charts. So say we're talking about where's a big airport nearby that we can use as an example. This one will work. Urhac, so that's an airbase. We want a commercial airport. This one will do. LTCA. So within the simulator, if we go into the flight plan, I think... Oh, actually, no, we'd have to change our plan to do it. Because it only shows you clip charts for your current flight. But we can use these ones. I can show you in here, can't I? So this pulls up the Lufthansa charts. Obviously, these are really simple little airports that we're visiting today. But they are pretty much as good as the Navigraph ones. Navigraph's just a nice to have, really. And Navigraph has more coverage than the Lufthansa charts. Lufthansa only seems to cover international airports for the most part. Okay, so this is the airbase that I was just talking about, wasn't it? The Malatia. Was it an Air Force base? Yes. An airliner. So we should see them on the map. There they are. Look, there's two of them according to this. 5255 and 2632. I can only see one. And they've vanished. How's the airplane doing? Let's go and check the systems. So propellers are good, torque is good, ITT is good, RPM is good, fuel flow is the same both sides, pressures and temperatures are good, and fuel is good. There are no lights on the panel. We are about to approach 3 miles away, so we want to be departing this VOR at what angle? 68 degrees. So we're going to change our course to 68, which means the aeroplane will track left. Yeah, so we've put the course to point at 68 degrees or thereabouts. Yeah, it's about there. So the aeroplane's now tracking left, and the reason it's doing that is it's trying to get to the 68 degree track before we get to the VOR. See, it's turning right again now. You see it doing it. Watch the CDI. It's very good at it. Having said that, it's going to overshoot. Famous last words. So, someone in the live stream is saying, lovely day for flying. It absolutely is. Blue skies, look, all around us. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at this scenery. So this has made a real pig's ear of this, look, because we went over the top of the VOR. So we're going to go back to heading mode. It's made a real mess of it. This is always the danger. If you have to obviously know your aeroplane to know what it's capable of doing. But flying over the top of the VOR, look, it lost the signal and dropped the guidance mode, which is why it's always wise to switch back to heading mode when you're using radio navigation if you're changing course. Don't just imagine it will switch over for you. Because it overshot, it was then correcting at the same point that it lost the signal, which was a disaster. So we just put ourselves on a gentle intercept angle to bring us back in on the CDI. So if I show you what's happened here, look, we went, whoa! So as we flew over the top, it lost its signal. And then it turned off the guidance. So it carried on turning, because it would have done roll hold at that point. Okay, so we'll go and switch over to the next VOR, 11470. On the same course, so 11470, switch to active, and it's picked it up. We're travelling to it. Oh, I thought it had 11470. Let's just double check that. What's going on with that? 11470. I wonder if it's been decommissioned. I wouldn't have thought so. If we go back to 11200. Okay, we'll use the other one for the moment. What was the range on this one? Show information for the Ankara. Oh, look, it's not there. Nope, there it is. Should have a range of 130 miles. 114. I wonder why. I mean, it's not a big problem. We can work around it. We'll just wait till we get to it and then tune for the next one. And hope that one works. If we don't have any of them, we can use GPS as a backup. So, yeah, there's a comment there in the live stream about aeroplanes. A lot of aeroplanes won't perform wonders with tracking the VOR. They, or radio or GPS, to be honest. It's pretty much on you to get the aeroplane in the ballpark, and then the autopilot will just maintain tracking the guidance. So, you know, capturing. So once you've already pretty much manually captured the route you want on a radial, for example, with radio navigation, so you do that yourself, and then the autopilot, you can only really trust an autopilot to maintain the route. It won't change routes easily. You're really looking at, you know, some pretty advanced sensors and navigation computers to do that sort of thing. Okay, CDI is coming in. Almost back on the GPS track, look. So let's go and turn our heading bug to match the track. I'm not sure what the wind's doing around us. It's 8 knots. There's hardly any wind either. It's a lovely day. Yeah, any of these older autopilots. Remember, this is simulating like a 1980s, early 90s autopilot with not much in the way of cleverness. So all it's got to go on is this CDI. if you're operating it obviously in VLOC mode. And it's not going to react wonderfully quickly. Let's go and bring the range down. So we can see the numbers on here as well. So we can see estimated time en route is about 8 and a bit minutes until we get to the next one. .1 miles. Obviously we're reading the from signal, so you can see the little arrow is the other side than the course direction we're going, which means we're travelling from the tuned in beacon. Should we try on nav2 11400 and see what happens? Sorry, 11470. Yeah, it's working. I wonder what was going on with that then. Yeah, that is exactly right, 68 degrees. So, if we're still on heading mode, so let's just try switching this back again. And it's working now. That's bizarre, isn't it? So then, because we're pretty close to the track, if we press nav, it will go capture it. But yeah, anytime you fly over the top of a VOR, it loses signal and will drop nav mode. Which I should have remembered when we went over the top of the previous one. Because it will go roll hold at that point, and if you're turning at that time, then yeah, it was all predictable. Great little aeroplane, isn't it? Yeah, just reading the live stream comments. Yeah, that's absolutely.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, contact Ankara control on 120.275.
So,
switching to Ankara control on 120.275.
I was going to say Amanda's doing that for us, isn't she?
Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet.
Then she'll call the next controller and tell them what we're up to.
Ankara control, Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Good afternoon. Maintaining flight level 110.
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, Ankara control identified E Axam left.
There we go. So yeah, so in response to the question there and the clarification, yes, if you're using radio navigation, the easiest method, once you get to a change, you know, like overflying a VOR, go to heading mode before you get there. Then it gives you time to retune if you're going to go on to the next VOR station, or if you just want to change your course. So change your course, change your heading to line it up manually, and then once you're established the other side of the VOR, you can go back to tracking by the radio signal. The danger is, as you fly over the VOR, if you are right over the top of it, you will lose the signal. Also, the signal, the CDI will flail around as you go right over the top of the VOR, and the autopilot doesn't know why, and it will start trying to turn violently towards it.
Ankara control, good evening. Emirates 268 with you at flight level 370.
So you're best off, you know, within that last mile, go to heading mode.
Identified E Axam.
Ankara control, NOAA 137, is there any mountains in the area?
NOAA 137, please expedite your climb to flight level 410.
have a look. Yeah, there are some hills around, but most of them are over to our over there. You can see them, and there's some obviously to the east of us as well. Have a look and see what the other options are on the charts then. So we got World Day, which is the brighter version. We got VFR Night. Interesting. So VFR is actually showing us the ATC sectors, whereas World didn't. Okay, so this is more useful to us. And that's the same thing with the brightened up version.
Oscar Sierra, Papa Juliet, Ankara Control. Contact Elazig, approach on 125.39.
Switching to Elazic approach on 125.39. Cessna Foxtrot Oscar.
I wonder what cut off Amanda.
Elazic departure. Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Good afternoon. Maintaining flight level 110.
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Elazic departure identified. İyi akşamlar.
So what are the other options we have? IFR, which obviously just shows you the airways as well, and then the high altitude airways. So best one for us is probably VFR Night, isn't it? It's quite clear and you get to see the sectors, so you know ahead of getting there. Obviously we're on control and then we go out, so we've got two changes in rapid succession of controllers, because this will be centre out here. Then we had arrival or departure, I forget which, and then the actual airport itself. It's very good. So we need to change course again. So we're going to demonstrate exactly what we were talking about. We're going to go to heading mode and change to 7 degrees. So heading mode first. So we line up the heading bug with the direction we are going, which we have. Go heading mode. That frees us up to change the course to 7 degrees without changing the radio frequency. Now we can see the distance coming down towards the beacon. So we'll start changing our heading bug when we're about a mile away, giving ourselves room for the airplane to turn. Yeah, so we're just watching the distance measuring equipment. Obviously it depends how close you are to the track. Even at 2 miles though, we could go and start the turn and just put ourselves on an intercept course for the CDI. So we're just cutting the corner off, which could stop us from losing the signal. So all we're doing here, look, is cutting the corner off. And gives you less turn to make when the CDI does come in. See that, because I knew that was going to happen. It was going to be quick when it did happen. So then we need to reset the other side. So we'll put ourselves on a gentle intercept course. This will come back in, remember, because it's just showing it's showing a big deflection because we are so close to the VOR. Yeah. So then when it's within 1 dot on here, you can typically go and say nav please. And it's going to gently pull us in towards the CDI automatically. And then once that's all stabilized, you can center your heading bug up back on the direction you're actually going. So I'm just going to bank right, watch the flight directors.
Approach, good evening. Lufthansa 574, passing flight level 140
There it
for
goes.
8,000 feet altitude.
Actually, you can't see flight directors in this airplane, can you? You can watch the altitude indicator
left,
there.
please. We prefer 25 right, Lufthansa
So let's
574.
go straighten up the heading bug.
Lufthansa 574, runway 25 left is not active. Available runways are 25 right and 31. Please advise which runway you prefer.
So we're heading out now towards the next VOR. So show information on the Erzincan VOR. We got a range of, oh no, I've got the wrong thing I've pulled up. Show information for Erzincan, 100 miles. So we could change straight over to it, 11270. So again, same trick. We go line up the heading bug, the direction you're going, go heading mode, because remember this will be tracking crosswind as well for you automatically once you're stabilized. So we want to change frequency 11270. 11270. So 11270, switch it to active. So it's gone to towards, and we've got 53 miles to run, pretty much on the track, and we can press nav again. And it's just going to correct ever so slightly. Okay, we are coming towards some hills. You can see they're going to get pretty close, within 1,000 feet of our track if we are on the track. So you need to be careful, because you can see there is a peak out there. So although this doesn't look like we're going to get close, a few hundred feet either side of our track could be higher. You can actually try that if you go and append, for example, here, or add, sorry. Look at that. We can see that this is higher. So if I undo that, so yeah, the mountains are higher. So obviously you can look and see that's going to be a lot higher, isn't it? So if we did that and add position, you can see it's getting much closer to the aeroplane. There we go. So where is that actually happening? Okay, so we don't need to worry at this point of the journey. These hills that we're looking at here are nowhere near our altitude. The ones we're worried about are these. So that one particularly there, look, and another one there. And then when we climb out of this valley, there's another peak there. So if we were to the right of the track, it gets closer look to us. Just need to be careful about that sometimes. How are we doing? Let's have a look at the instruments. 44 miles. I have to say, Inibuilds really did a good job on this aeroplane. It just works. It's predictable. The functionality within it is nice. Just going to pretend we're a passenger for a bit. Let's see at the back. This should be a video game in its own right, shouldn't it? Where you sit in the seat and read the magazines and look outside, and I think you can get, there's a game on Steam, isn't there, where you sit for like 8 hours and watch a movie and listen to the safety briefing and eat the rubbish. But yeah, so if we go back down the aeroplane, look at those views. Yeah, indeed. So if we go and it's a big old world down there, isn't it?
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra, Papa Juliet, Elazig departure. Contact Ankara Control on 120.275.
Switching to Ankara.
Oh, it's this one, isn't it, that's got the sectors? That's interesting. So,
Control, Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Good afternoon. Maintaining flight level 110.
Cessna Foxtrot, Oscar Sierra. Papa Juliet, Ankara Control, identified. Good afternoon.
Ankara Control, NOAA 137. Can you give me a heading to my next waypoint, as I seem to have 2 flight plans now? Ankara Control, NOAA 137 requesting flight level 200.
so I'm being asked in the live stream comments. Somebody said, "Good morning, John. Favourite plane at the moment?" Oh, that's a really good question. I don't really have favourites because I change planes every time, more often than I change my socks. This aeroplane's pretty good. The 406 from Inibuilds. Favourites? I don't. That's difficult. I do like the Starship. Starship is great fun. But yeah, if you ask me next week, it'll be a different favourite, and the week after that, it would be a different favourite. So they were also saying, thank you for the startup guides you make. So for anybody watching that doesn't know about these, I'll go and pop open. I'm going to do a little bit of a sales pitch. I apologise in advance. We'll keep that open to one side. If I go to johnbeckett.substack.com, so this is the blog. If you go and subscribe at johnbeckett.substack.com, everything I do on YouTube gets posted up here and more. So I occasionally do posts like this one, where it goes through explaining all about what Cat 1, 2 and 3 actually mean. It goes through all that kind of stuff. How to configure the Tobii eye tracker, for example. And then I do a few subscriber only or paid subscriber only ones, but they're quite rare, but they're probably worth having a look at because, yeah, the full story of the 707, for example. I took quite some research to do it. I did another one recently. Where is it? It'll have a padlock on it if it's a paid one. You can see I'm quite quite prolific. If we go backwards in time through recent posts, there was a huge one I did recently. It was about the air races. I can't remember where it is. There it is, the McRobertson Air Race. This took a lot of research, but it tells the story of the McRobertson Air Races. So it was a race across the world many years ago. You know, in the advent of long-range aircraft flight, and it kind of proved that it was possible. So there were some racing planes, but bizarrely, a Douglas DC-2 almost won, and it was a mail plane. It was carrying mail on the route, and it very nearly beat all the high-powered racing planes that it was up against. There it is. So the predecessor of the DC-3 almost won a race around the world. But yeah, there you go. So the blog has everything that I do in YouTube in it, but right up at the top there's procedures and guides, and this serves as an index to the various procedures I've made and the guides I've done. So they are functional procedures. So they don't include everything. They include what is simulated in the aeroplane that is essential to do to get it up and running in a more or less correct manner. So if you go and click on one of these, it will take you to Ko-fi, and then you can go and obviously buy it for £3 or more if you want to. If you go and have a look at the shop at Ko-fi, you can see that you can also go to this, so kofi.com/johnbeckett/shop, and it will show you all the procedures here as well, and you can search them as well. So there's 2 places you can find this list. But yeah, it's obviously it's quite There's quite a lot of stuff in here, and it goes on and on. So all the different models of aeroplane, different simulators and all the rest of it. So yeah, and we can keep scrolling. But yeah, you get the idea. So that's what keeps me busy of a weekend. So just to finish that story off, actually, if we go and look at one of the originals of one of those documents, if I put in 406 for this aeroplane, this is what those guides look like. So they've got how to use the camera controls in the sim typically, how to set up custom views if I deem they are needed for a given aeroplane, suggested view mappings, so this one does use them. And then you'll get into, make sure your controllers are correct, what you need to do on the walk around, and then into getting the aeroplane ready. So they're always the same format, so I keep it consistent. So it's the keyboard combination for the view you need, where to look, what to do. And it's always the same. The view, where to look, what to do. And it goes all the way down through everything to get the aeroplane as far as lined up for takeoff. And then you just get takeoff notes, climb notes, and cruise notes. But yeah, so it basically walks you through as an aide-memoire, really. So it's a useful thing to have alongside you. I use them. Otherwise, there's no way I would remember how to fly all the different aeroplanes. That's how I got started doing it. I wrote them for my own use. And then my other half actually turned around and said, why don't you share these with everybody? And I freely admit they're not a replacement for pilot operating handbook instructions. Quite often they will have more in the steps than the pilot operating handbook, though. It's quite curious to me that the POH for a given aeroplane quite often is quite terse, and it doesn't include any of the procedural stuff. It will just have the very basics, and it will miss out things like lights and stuff like that. So this is what I told you about. Look, we're going to get very close to one of these peaks that's alongside our route. So it pays to be vigilant. These mountains are amazing, aren't they? So if you're looking for my voice in Say Intentions, just looking at the comments there on the channel, I only appear as a mentor. So if you go into intercom, if we were to go and put a mentor in the cockpit, then you should find that I'm listed in there, John Beckett, streamer, professional. If you choose me, you'll see my mugshot turn up. I'm not going to go and trigger myself to say something because that's all a bit odd.
Radar, sorry, 908 Alpha, can we just get the frequency again, please? Ankara, sorry, 908 Alpha, can we get the frequency?
Okay, so we're about to change course again. So back to heading mode and then 28 degrees.
Ankara control identified.
So we heading mode,
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar
28
Sierra,
degrees.
Papa Juliet, Ankara controlled, contact Erzincan. Approach on 125.39er.
And then change our course to 28 degrees. And we should see this sweep back in. So we should look, we're 2.5 miles away.
Erzincan departure, Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Good afternoon. Maintaining 1,000 feet.
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra.
Let's just give ourselves an intercept angle to bring the CDI in. That's what we've done, look. It's just cut the corner off. So I'm just going in at a gentle angle towards the course to leave on 28 degrees. And again, it pays, look, because the mountains over there are higher than us. If we'd been far too much to the right, or a long way to the right of our track, we would hit them. Which is why you have to look where you're going. So the CDI should start to come back in again. You can see it there, look. Here it comes. So if we go nav mode, the aeroplane will take over intercepting the CDI for us. Course deviation indicator. So, happily chugging across Turkey towards Georgia. We're well over halfway now, and we're starting to see quite a lot of aeroplanes around us. But they're well above us. The SayIntentions has been one of the best purchases I've made, and one of the best relationships I've got with anybody in the simulator. They have been absolutely amazing, and they've supported me as much as I've supported them. The advances they are making with the services they are offering, they've just been. There was an email the other day. They're really knocking it out of the park, to be honest. The advances that are coming to do with VFR are going to be incredible. You know, to hear other VFR traffic and to do pattern work and things like that, and to hear other people doing it, and to have
Oscar Sierra, Papa Juliet, Erzincan departure. Contact Ankara control on 135.575.
Amanda should take care of that.
Contacting Ankara control on 135.575.
We'll just let her respond, and then we'll carry on talking.
Ankara control, Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Good afternoon. Maintaining 1,000 feet.
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Ankara control identified. Hoş geldiniz, Erzincan QNH 1010.
Let's go and check the QNH 1010. Yeah, it's changed look. Which puts us 200 feet higher than we should be. So the airplane is taking care of that automatically with the guidance, which is good. Yes, I was talking about SayIntentions. They have got some stuff in the pipeline around GA traffic VFR. So when you tune into the common traffic advisory frequency, you will hear the other GA traffic announcing, you know, their position they are in a circuit, for example, and all that kind of thing, which will be great. Really, really great. And I think they are the first of their kind, of that kind of service, to offer GA aircraft. So there's going to be tens of thousands of GA aircraft in the air simulated, and you'll be able to hear them all communicating. Obviously, if you're nearby on the same frequency, you'll hear them communicating with air traffic services, which will be wonderful. It will be like an enormous group flight, regardless of if your friends are online or not. Okay, how are we doing on fuel? Fuel burn's looking good. We're gonna, we'll have lots of fuel left at the end. burn rate versus distance versus time is all looking massively in our favour. Our favour. So what's this all about? That's the generator, isn't it? That's amperage, DC. Interesting. How do we tune in the ADF that's over here, isn't it? No, that's the transponder. There's the ADF. Are there any non-directional beacons? The trouble is, non-directional beacons, you wouldn't probably get them in this part of the world because they're such low range. There's VORs, look, and a few GPS waypoints around. If we go and turn the view of them on and off, that's an easy way to spot them usually. What am I doing? There we go. There are a few, look, they correspond with where the airports are. So the advantage of, I showed this on the channel the other day actually, if you've got a non-directional beacon, so it's right underneath the VOR, look, it's at the same place. If you wanted to fly an RNAV arc around an airfield, all you need to do is, and they've got a non-directional beacon on site, you tune into it and you keep the arrow pointed at west or east. So you just turn to make that happen and that puts you on the arc automatically. It really is that simple. Okay, so 11270, we departed on a given direction. Let's see what the range is on the next VOR. 125 miles, that's good. 11045. Let's go and change over to it then. So we go heading mode. 11045. Switch to active. Line up the course and go nav mode and let the aeroplane track in itself. If we want the same course as the GPS track, if we want to be exactly the same as it, we just need to put in 28 degrees on the HSI, which is going to be about there, isn't it? Which will make the aeroplane track right slightly, so you can see it turning. So it's just chasing the CDI. I think the good thing about SayIntentions is that it's getting better on the server side incredibly quickly. So without any changes on your side, when you talk to it, it gets better every week. And obviously the nature of artificial intelligence is the longer it goes on and the more data they feed it, the better it gets. You know, the more it trains, the better and better it gets. Obviously it still has its problems because it's heavily under development all the time, and quite often I'm showing the alpha, which not everybody else gets to see immediately. I'm kind of in a privileged position in that way, and I'm enormously appreciative of them for allowing me to have early access. But it does mean that I sometimes see rough edges. But then I don't mind. As I said earlier, I tend to be hugely positive about things, and I don't get too worked up when things don't work. It's like, oh well, maybe next time. I think part of that is because I work as a developer myself, so I understand how complex some of these things are. Not just, you know, what they're trying to do, but the infrastructure required to do them as well is often enormous. So we've got 70 miles counting down. We still haven't got that course quite right, look, because we're down the other side of the track, but if we zoom out, it doesn't look as bad. See, look, we're on the track perfectly. So once we get to the next waypoint, then we've got the run into Batumi. So we're not that far away now. About 120 miles out, maybe. We should see the seaside soon. Try saying that quickly. Should we put the head tracking back on for a bit? And scan the instruments, make sure everything's looking okay. Oh no, it's still in the green. I thought the oil pressure looked a bit high. ITT is fine. So ITT is inter-turbine temperature, if you didn't know. It's too early in the flight for another cocktail. Not for the captain, I'm afraid. It's funny, I was joking with my other half the other evening. It's quite rare that I drink anymore. I've got to that point where if I have more than a couple of drinks, I'll know I'm wasting the rest of the evening and I won't be fit to do anything much. And I don't get drunk, I just get tired. And I never usually drink more than 2 anyway. But then it's quite rare that I drink at all anymore. I just have coffee. There's too many things I want to be doing that are interesting. Just sit around drinking. So we should be crossing into... We're going to cross over another sector, aren't we? The Artvin, because obviously we're heading towards that VOR. Interesting. Look at the trim. It's working overtime, isn't it? Outside for a bit. Houses. little villages in the hillsides. Another one over there. So something I didn't bother doing when we got in the aeroplane was loading it with people. Can we do it while we're in the air? I'm not sure that we can. If I were to go into... yeah, it would be here, wouldn't it? No, it isn't going to render them, look, because otherwise they would be appearing. It's saying we've got 5 passengers. Okay, so 45 miles to run until the waypoint, and we can see the sea at last. We're almost at the coast. Fantastic. We're being thrown around a fair amount by the wind coming up over these hills. So let's just keep an eye on the autopilot, make sure it's happy, make sure it's tracking at altitude still at 11,000 feet, and then we'll look at descending down sometime soon. So if we look down here, we'll see at what point we'll be expecting a handoff. I'll tell Amanda that I'll take over radio comms. Hi Amanda, I'll take over radio comms now.
Alright, Jonathan, you're in charge of the radios now.
So if you've ever wondered, these altitudes on the maps, although we're well below them, they are the minimum for the commercial air traffic. So 15,900 feet, which puts them several thousand feet clear of the hilltops. 16,000 over to our right, look. Obviously it's a bit, the hills are a bit higher over there, look. So coming in towards the VOR. So hopefully we'll get vectored in, because we don't have a standard terminal arrival route or an approach configured. So we'll request vectors. Our flight plan did not include an approach. We can predict it. So if we go and look at Batumi and we get the weather on the ground down here. So we've got winds 310, 6 knots. So the winds are coming this way. So we'll be expecting runway 30. So we won't be shooting the ILS. I wonder how they manage that with the hills in the way. What sort of altitude are they? So 200 meters, coming up to about 250 meters, 300 maybe, yeah, 4, 5, 800. So as long as we stay over the plane and keep our pattern in, I wonder if we'll get left pattern runway 30 maybe, to keep us over the river. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. We'll soon find out. Only a little way out now. So once we get clear of the hills, out over the coast, so come through the next VOR, we'll start descending. So altitude at Batumi is 12 feet above sea level. A transition altitude of 7,000 feet. Okay. So we are above that, so we should be at 2992 or 1013 actually, looking at this. But we'll stick to what they told us earlier. There's no other traffic around on the map.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, contact Batumi, approach on 124.4232.
Contacting Batumi approach 124.425 Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet.
Turkish 8.
Batumi approach Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet with you, maintaining flight level 110.
Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, Batumi approach. Identified. Good afternoon, read the altimeter 1009er. Expect the runway 12 approach into Batumi.
They are going for 12, okay. Expecting runway 12 approach into Batumi, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. That's interesting. So it's going to be borderline. They may change that if the wind gets up at all, because it's only a few knots. I think it's about 8 knots normally is the amount. Yeah, it's down at 6 knots, look, the wind. So they're using the ILS. That makes it easy for us, to be honest. So we'll just take a vector from here to put us on the ILS. So if we do measure from there to that waypoint, I knew that was going to happen. In fact, what we could do, just to make this easier, is just add that to the route. And then that gives us our bearing. So 36 degrees out of that VOR. To be honest, it would be nicer to fly VFR along the coast rather than do IFR all the way. So we could cancel IFR once we get past the VOR station here. So what's the name of this one? Artvin or Artvan, I'm not sure how they pronounce it. If it was French it would be Artvan. So I may terminate IFR. Although, I don't know, we haven't done it for a while though, so it would make sense to keep it.
This is Rare 887 Heavy, turn right heading 155.
887, can we have landing clearance runway 12?
That's what we're going to do. We're going to stay fairly close to the coast. We could even do that, couldn't we? And go to GPS. So we need to go and put a couple of waypoints in and switch to GPS mode once we get past the VOR. So let's go and look at our flight plan over here. And move the cursor along. So there's ART. So on top of here, we're going to go and insert F406 and then Sarpi. Done. you can see they're in the route now. So we'll also go and change our guidance over to GPS, which is going to drop... Oh no, nav is still engaged. That surprises me. Normally if you change navigation source, it will drop tracking and just go to roll hold. Who were we talking to? It was Batumi Approach, wasn't it? Yeah. Batumi Approach, Cessna, Foxtrot, Oscar, Sierra, Papa Juliet, requesting descent to 5,000 feet.
Cessna, Sierra, Papa Juliet, whenever you'd like to send, altitude 8,000, altimeter 1005.
Descending 8,000 feet, Sierra, Papa Juliet. So we take off altitude hold, and then we can use the pitch wheel and keep an eye on our speed.
118.6.
So just get it to about 500.
Oh,
Oh no, it's 1,000
day.
feet a minute, isn't it? Yeah, that'll do. So let's go and
Request lift up.
pull the power back.
Skyhawk 3 Alpha Zulu, say again your request.
So just managing our airspeed there. So let's go and turn the landing lights on as well. So I'm just coming down to 10,000.
Cessna, Sierra, Papa Juliet, descend and maintain altitude 6,000.
Descending 6,000 feet, Oscar Sierra, Papa Juliet. So we just carry on down. We could descend much more quickly if we so wished, so should we do that? We just need to manage power a bit more. So 2,000 feet a minute. And that's looking good.
Clear director.
Direction, Sunchurch 154.
Try and get the view so you get to see out the window while I'm watching the
Cessna, Sierra,
instruments.
Papa Juliet, descend and maintain altitude 4,000.
Descending 4,000 feet, Oscar Sierra, Papa Juliet. So that's the GPS kicking in to turn us and keep us across the coast, which is great. So we've got to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 feet still to go. But this 2,000 feet a minute, that's not going to take very long at all. Do I have a manual trim set to a yoke or a wheel? No, I've just got the hat switch on my joystick set to trim. So I just hold it in a direction. I have it for aileron and elevator trim. So that's what I use the hat switch for on my Airbus yoke. Not yoke, Airbus stick.
Cessna, Sierra, Papa Juliet, turn right heading 225 vectors for the ILS runway 12 approach.
Turning right 225 Sierra Juliet. That's interesting. So heading mode. What did he say? Turn right heading 225 vectors for the ILS. That makes no sense. They want us to do a U-turn. I think they may have got this wrong, you know. Batumi approach, please confirm vectors. Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. What are they doing to us? Going to put us in the hill in a moment if we're not careful. Oh, we need to stop descending. Altitude hold. Whoops. Let's go and climb. We're supposed to be at 4,000, weren't we? Batumi approach, Cessna, Foxtrot, Oscar, Sierra, Papa Juliet, requesting vectors for runway 12 approach.
Cessna, Sierra, Papa Juliet. Maintain current heading 225 vectors for the ILS runway 12 approach.
Maintaining current heading, Oscar, Sierra, Papa Juliet. What are they doing to us? I don't trust this because there's hills there. If they make us turn left into a big box pattern, I'm not going to be happy. I think it's gone wrong. Give it the benefit of the doubt and see what it tells us to do. It may get us to turn right and then right again for all we know. Seems a long way out to do it though. I think its logic has gone a bit wrong. It's a good job we got lots of fuel left, hey? Batumi approach, Cessna, Oscar Sierra, Papa Juliet. You have vectored us in the opposite direction than the airfield. Hope this isn't a tangent programming bug. We'll give it a couple of minutes and then we'll cancel IFR and go visual and just fly up the coast. I think the system has gone wrong. But then I am on the Alpha, so these sorts of things do happen. Have we got any approaches I could name to them? So show arrival, runway 12. Have we got any stars? This isn't the silliness. No, the stars are all in the opposite direction, look. So, and there's none with transitions. There's an NDB approach for 12. Roll in 9,000. Batumi approach, Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, requesting NDB approach for runway 12.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, NDB approach for runway 12 approved.
Requesting vectors for the NDP approach for runway 12, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, maintain current heading 225 vectors for the NDB runway 12 approach.
No, it's got it wrong. Batumi approach, cancelling IFR flight plan.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, roger. Radar services terminated, squawk VFR, frequency change approved.
Transponder frequency change approved, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. So we're going to fly back up the coast and go in manually and just go for a visual approach, which it means we get to see the scenery, to be honest, which is not such a bad thing, but obviously, yeah, the alpha here of SayIntentions has had a bit of a bad day. So let's go and turn the autopilot off, which I can cancel on my stick, and press Alt and 8, Alt 7. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I was going to scoot us slightly forward in the cockpit. So it means we get to have the more scenic route in, which is always going to be a bit more fun. Make our way back up to Batumi along the coast then, having been sent the wrong direction by them. I've just calibrated the altimeter to the local barometric pressure, and yeah, it's been interesting, hasn't it, this flight? So we're just coming in towards the coastline. So this is I'll show you where we are in the world, in case you have not seen this part of the world before. We're on the northeastern coast of Turkey, heading towards the border with Georgia. So we're leaving Turkey behind on this round-the-world trip today. So we're going to fly along the coast low, so we get to have a little look along the way. There's obviously a coast road that takes us to Georgia. I don't know if it will continue all the way along this peninsula, or if it will wind in to the mountains. Maybe it is the main road all the way to Georgia. Should we get a bit closer to it? So, having been given the runaround by ATC, we're now going to carry on up the coast. It's funny, whenever I see an opposite vector given than you're expecting from the far distant past of my programming days, I immediately think that's a tangent maths error. Tangent will do that. If you get things wrong, it will flick the opposite direction. So I think the road does continue round, but it's not modelled very well, look. So you've got cars that are, by all rights, should be rolling into the sea, but they're somehow making it along the coast. Oh, I love it when things like that happen. Is that an observatory out here on the hilltop, or is it radar? Should we go and have a close look? It's probably radar, isn't it? Is that? I think that's an Air Force base, isn't it, down there? Yep. Radar installation. Okay, we're coming back past. We've already flown past this once. So I'm being asked in the live stream which is the best A320 for the flight simulator. I think the common consensus among the professional pilots, the real world Airbus pilots that have played around with the ones in the sim, is the Phoenix tends to behave more like the real thing. There is a Flight Sim Labs Airbus which has got some really nice systems modelling, but I don't think anybody trusts Flight Sim Labs following what they did years ago. I'm not going to get into it. You can go look it up online. But yeah, there was a significant loss of trust with Flight Sim Labs years ago, so a lot of people won't touch any of their products. But the Phoenix is very good. To be honest, depending on what level you're at with your learning with the Airbuses, the built-in A320 version 2 in the sim isn't bad at all. I mean, you're really talking, it's that kind of 90% more effort to make 5% more aeroplane. So, you know, the amount of difference between any of them is actually quite small. But if you want it to be that last little bit of accuracy to be exactly like the real thing, then the Phoenix is probably still the best at the moment overall, based on what I've heard the professional pilots saying. And certainly in the simulator, it's very, very good. To be honest, it's not really a fair fight. The more you read about Phoenix, it's a commercial simulator that's been retrofitted into Flight Simulator. So yeah, I'm not sure how true that is, but that's the story I kind of read in between the lines. So there's very good reasons that I think the company that make the Phoenix simulator also make commercial simulators. So whether they've put some sort of code layer in, you know, to borrow the code from a commercial simulator, I don't know, because that's certainly what's happened with the TDS GTN 750. That is the Garmin avionics unit. It's their own simulator, but it's been converted, which is by no means a small feat, by the way. It's been converted to work within the simulator. But what you see in the aircraft is the real thing. or the the real Garmin simulator of their own system, which is why it looks so much better than anything else. But yeah, I think it just comes down to feel as well. So the commercial pilots that obviously fly the A320 day in, day out all seem to think that, although it's not perfect, none of them are, because it's a simulator and it's a home simulator, but the Phoenix is a good approximation apparently of the real thing, of how it behaves. I think the big difference if you're flying the Airbuses in the simulator, if they're accurately simulated, you don't actually fly the Airbus, you direct it. So a lot of your muscle memory to do with how to fly an aeroplane goes out of the window. Because obviously in an Airbus a computer is flying the aeroplane, so when you put a control input in, you're actually just directing the system. So you have to actively not try to fly the aeroplane. You're directing it what you want it to do next. Okay, so we're just making our way along the coast back towards Batumi, and then once we're a little bit closer we'll go and request landing clearance. Let's go and tune in the non-directional beacon, shall we? So 430. It's a shame we haven't got a VOR here, but it at least allows us to have a play with this, doesn't it? So okay, what have I done? I should have turned head tracking off then and just zoomed in. Flight ET. Yeah, I pressed the wrong button. We want ADF anyway. (430). How do we switch frequencies? There we go. So that will be pointing now at the beacon. So as we turn, it will swing round towards our nose. Anyway, let's go much closer to the coast. While we're busy talking, we've been flying away from the coast. And climbing. So I'm going to bring ourselves back down. So where's the border? We're just coming up to it. That's the airspace border anyway, so we go over to Tbilisi control once we pass through it. But we're already tuned in to approach at Batumi. I think we can see the lights of the runway out there. Just in the end of the peninsula. Yeah, you would be able to see them, look. So you can just see some flickering. So not far to go. 2,000 feet. just realised I haven't eaten today yet, and it's 2:30 in the afternoon already. Although I say I haven't eaten, I did go out for breakfast. I had a cooked breakfast this morning, which is enough to keep me going all day, to be honest. The latest update has messed up the flight plans in career mode on the Xbox. In what way? I wouldn't know because I haven't got an Xbox and I don't use career mode either most of the time, so...
Skyhawk 123 Alpha Zulu, we have ground contact descending to 1000. Ground contact descending to 1000 feet, Skyhawk 123 Alpha Zulu.
So we'll go for vectors in a moment. We could ask them for instruction now, couldn't we? We're not far away. Batumi, Cessna, Foxtrot, Oscar, Sierra, Papa Juliet, approaching from the south, requesting full stop landing. They'll probably send us to tower.
Papa Juliet, unable to assist with landing. Contact Batumi Tower for landing instructions.
Yeah, there we go. Where are we? Say intentions. Batumi Tower. Batumi Tower, Cessna, Foxtrot, Oscar, Sierra, Papa Juliet, requesting full stop landing.
Cessna, Sierra, Papa Juliet, wind 300 at 6, runway 31, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 31, Oscar, Sierra, Papa Juliet. So they haven't even given us a pattern or anything. And 3-1 is opposite than the AI aircraft are coming in from the simulator, which is interesting. But there was only one aeroplane moving, so they'll probably be out of the way by the time we come in. Okay, so just coming down to 1,300 feet. I want to be about 1,000 feet really for traffic altitude, but for GA anyway. And then we'll do a right turn.
Batumi Tower, Infinity 3267, requesting IFR clearance. In a row, Lucky Airport base.
Give me 1 second for that clearance.
That's the aeroplane that we just watched come in. Look, he's rolling in now. So we're going to do a 90-degree turn in a moment. Take ourselves back up to 1,000 feet, hey? Scrub some speed off. Batumi Power, Tower, Cessna Foxtrot Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet on finals runway 30. Is it 30 or 31?
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, wind 300 at 6, runway 31, clear to land.
Yeah, apologies, runway 31, clear to land, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. It's been a long flight.
White 923, copy, clear to burgers. Radio access to RP, initial climb to 4,000 feet, expecting flight level
330 on the runway.
After departure. Departure frequency on 124.425, squawk 5154, White 93.
White 9023, read back correct. White 9023, contact departure.
Departure, White 93.
I think we have to backtrack, don't we? There's no other way off. Tower, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, backtracking to parking area.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, welcome to Batumi. Taxi to general aviation parking via Alpha. Monitor this frequency.
Monitoring this frequency, taxiing to general aviation parking, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. It's not the best made airport ever, is it? Could do with an upgrade. It's obviously one of the generic AI ones. Batumi Tower, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet, clear of active runway.
Cessna Sierra Papa Juliet, taxi to general aviation parking at your discretion. Good day.
Taxiing to parking at tower discretion. Good day, Oscar Sierra Papa Juliet. Park up this end. It's more room.
We have a ground service here, so requesting IFR clearance as filed.
Give me 1 second for that clearance.
Okay, parking brake is on. I'm going to turn the head tracking off to do this, otherwise it'll be a nightmare. Off. Generators off because the engines are now dead. They're just spinning down. Fuel boost can come off. Feathers off. And we're pretty much there. And then obviously the last few lights. And then the batteries. And we're cold and dark. We made it! Hurrah! Time for tea and cakes. So they nailed my voice. Well, it is my voice. I'm just reading somebody's comment saying they're listening to me as a mentor in Say Intentions. Yeah, so it is my voice. I gave them several videos with me without interruption, just talking, working through things in the simulator, and they used it to train the AI. So yeah, it's very good. Okay, so we made it. We landed at Batumi. I guess I'll be doing the next leg of the round the world trip fairly soon. Obviously you saw Say Intentions went a bit awry at the end. I'm running the alpha. So that's the only defense against that. So things like that happen now and again in an alpha because they are breaking things and changing them. So it's not unexpected. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that today, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.